next one. This is like just Paris, and then this is that area I was telling you about that's like 12.2 million people. And we try to get a little bit around in there, and then there's just Paris, that little yellow dot, if you can't see it. So massive amount of area. Okay, you can go to the next one. And then this is like, guys, this is just from a market. I mean, you might not be able to see it really well, but if you could look at this picture up close, you'd think you were in North Africa. You'd think you were in Iraq or Afghanistan. It doesn't look French at all. It's just very dense pockets of Muslim believers all kind of congregated together in these neighborhoods. And then this is the Grand Mosque in Paris. Massive, takes up like a whole city block, the mosque. And then this is actually a picture that is taken from the streets in Paris in the 18th arrondissement, like the 18th neighborhood or whatever. And this is, there used to be a mosque there, and on Fridays when they'd come to pray, the streets would get so full cars couldn't even go up anymore. It became such a problem that they actually had to move the mosque. Made a deal with these guys and moved the mosque so that cars and business could at least continue. So the point is, lostness in Paris is huge. So this is a typical Wolof man. I took this picture of him when I was in Senegal, and wonderful people, beautiful people, so kind. And there are about 6.5 million Senegalese around the world. Some are unreached, while some are unreached and unengaged. They live in Senegal and Gambia and Italy and Spain and France, and there are Senegalese here in the United States, quite a bit. They're opportunists. They'll go wherever they can sell and find work. And as I said, they're mostly Islamic, and they follow African traditional religions. They call it kind of folk Islam. It's this blend of Islam along with these African traditions. And this is what I mean by that. These are like the three big prophets within this like traditional animistic religion. And these guys are essentially their Jesus Christ. So they then make these appeal to these men who are all dead, but they sign up with one of these and they follow this brotherhood. It's kind of like this Islamic brotherhood. And this is Christ for them. They believe that when they die, these men will speak on their behalf to allow God to allow them to come into heaven. This is a picture of the new mosque that just opened in Senegal. I'm not sure if you can see all of the white dots there, all of the people there. But again, lostness is not only huge in Paris, it's very huge in Senegal as well. Now, there's a picture of my wife going into a hair salon, handing out some Christmas cookies that the kids all bake for everybody. And then these are just pictures of like some distribution tables that we set up at the metro and at subway stops. And then the bottom picture is up, we invite men to come and we watch kind of like a Creation of Christ video series. And we sit around and drink tea with them. And then when it's finished, we just kind of talk about what we saw. And that's a great time. And this is the Eiffel Tower. This is what I was talking about. These men who are selling their stuff on the blankets. That's it. They're everywhere. There'll be sometimes 200 of these guys around the Eiffel Tower. And it is quite the sight to see when the cops come. And then this is us just going out and drinking tea with these guys and handing out beignets and being able to give literature to them and to be able to sit with them and talk about what it means. And to really try to get them past that point to where they say, hey, the only thing that matters between you and me is peace, that we have peace in our relationship. And you have to say, no, the only thing that matters in this world is truth. We can't exchange peace for truth. We need truth. So we go out and we share truth with these men. And I might be the last photo. Yeah, so that whenever you think of Paris, whenever you think of the Senegalese, just think of these people, pray for these people, and pray for those that are currently there or not there at the moment, who can go out and declare his glory among the nations and his marvelous work among the people. And now I'm going to try to get this to go. All right, but then I also talk to you guys just about another work that we're doing, right? And this is that work to be able to connect to churches, right? To connect missionaries to churches. I just want you guys to imagine if there's 47,000 churches in the Southern Baptist Convention. Imagine if 47,000 churches were both sharing the gospel where they are locally and globally, while seeking ways to proactively be about making disciples of all nations in all parts of the world so that God is glorified. There's a need for this. The other day, my wife and I were just on a walk. She was telling me about this article she was reading. There's an article that talked about the urgency of lostness. The article mentioned that last year, between 56 and 61 million people passed away. For those who didn't know God, that's 56 to 61 million people who don't have another chance to hear the gospel. There's no more altar calls for these people. This is game over, and these people are eternally separated from God. And then the article gave another number, and that was 3.24 billion. That's like the approximate number of unreached people on the earth today. It's almost half of the world's population. It's tough to comprehend a number like 3.24 billion. I mean, it's just so overwhelming. It's just such a large number that we might as well be talking about like the national debt, right? It's too hard to envision. But think about that, 3.24 billion people. And this is the number of the people who are living on the planet right now who have never heard the gospel of Jesus Christ. These people have no Bible, no church, no Christian witness living among them. You know, I think sometimes to help us understand 3.24 billion, it's better to focus on a smaller number. Think about 330 million. Okay, that's the size of the population. It's still big, isn't it? 330 million, that's the size of the population of the US. So to get to 3.24 billion people, we have to take 10 US's. And that's the picture of lostness that's in front of us right now. But I'll tell you, the Bible also provides us with a number. And it's a number that is also overwhelming and kind of difficult to comprehend. And this number is spelled out in Revelation 7:9. I'll read it to you now. After this, I looked, and behold, a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, with palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, "Salvation belongs to our God, who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb." Amen. And God gave the Apostle John a vision of future events. I mean, in this passage, he saw a large group of redeemed people standing before the throne of the Lamb. When you look at different English translations, they all kind of use the same similar phrases. They use great multitude, a vast multitude, a great crowd, and a large crowd. And the point is that the crowd was so big that no one could number them or count them. I mean, a multitude that no one could number. I mean, I'm no mathematician, but I do know this. I know that a multitude that no one could number is a number that is definitely different than 3.24 billion. And I know it's a number that is much, much bigger than 3.24 billion. And so let's allow these numbers to drive us. I mean, one of these numbers breaks our heart, and it causes almost panic and pain and urgency and desperation to just kind of rise up into our hearts. And then this other number, it also drives us, but instead of discouraging us and frustrating us and breaking our hearts, this number encourages us and it motivates us. Why? It's because that number, the number that no one could count, represents the culmination of the missionary endeavor. In the Great Commission, Jesus commands us to go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe everything he has commanded us. And in Revelation 7:9 shows us that as a result of this, as a result of that faithful witness going out, a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and people and languages, will be standing before the throne, before the Lamb. Amen. And that's God's picture of the future. And a final thing is that this great number, it reminds us that God loves and redeems people from every place on the planet, regardless of their race, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their political leanings, regardless of their past or their background, God is in the business of redeeming broken people. Amen. And we can know that our missionary efforts are not in vain. So as I mentioned, my wife and I, we're currently on this, trying to help the IMB to be able to have missionaries connecting with churches so that every church can be participating in this Revelation 7:9 vision that I just read to you. And this work then is the work of going out to churches, to encourage these churches to continue to go, or to send, or to pray, or to give, all with the purpose of engaging lostness. I mean, right now you guys are talking about Operation Christmas Child, Annie Armstrong. You guys have given to Lottie Moon. Well, when you give to Lottie Moon, it's the one I can speak the most about. When you give to Lottie Moon, I just want to let you know your gifts, in a very real way, support me and my family. Every dollar that's given to the Lottie Moon Christmas offering goes straight to the missionaries. There's no administrative costs taken out. There's nothing. That goes straight to allowing missionaries to be on the field. So because you give, please know that missionaries around the world have the financial support to remain on the field. They don't have to come home every year and disrupt their ministry to come and to ask churches to give a little bit more. I had a video to play for you, but we found out that there's a codec, whatever that is, missing. That it wouldn't enable us to be able to show the video. But essentially what it is, guys, it is missionaries from the field thanking you and thanking churches like this for giving to the Lottie Moon Christmas offering. And it's because you give that they then are able to do what God has called them to do. Just as an idea of what your giving does, because of your generosity and the generosity of all the other Southern Baptist churches out there, guys, in 2020, because of your giving, over 247 people groups were engaged. 769,494 people heard the gospel. 144,322 people became new believers. And over 18,380 new churches were started. So please hear me when I say thank you. And I know that I speak on behalf of all of my colleagues by giving you a very heartfelt thank you. Listen, I'm not sure if you guys have heard this, but there's this African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Folks, reaching the nations with the gospel can't happen if we don't go together, okay? And so let's continue to be about engaging lostness together, okay? For the full glory of God. I mean, as followers of Jesus, let us be known as those who make Jesus known in places where he's not yet known. Worshipped where he's not yet worshipped. Obeyed where he's not yet obeyed. And loved where he's not yet loved. And guys, that begins here. Today, with this church, with me, with you. It's our job. It's what we have to do. The Great Commission was not only for the disciples. It wasn't just for those who feel the tension to move overseas, or for like professional Christians. Some would say, oh, Pastor Gary's job. He's like a professional Christian. Whatever that means. No, it applies to all of us. It applies to all who follow Christ. We're called to go and make disciples, to proclaim the gospel, and to make his glory known among the nations. Listen, if you have any questions about how you can give, go, send, or pray, I would love to speak to you. If you want to learn more about how you can pray for the Wolof or the other unreached people groups in Africa, come speak to me when we're done here. And just thank you very much for giving me the privilege to be here. I think it is wonderful how the Lord worked that out. So thank you for answering my email. And I just will really be praying for this church, and that God will continue to bless this church. And I love this, how you have this on your bulletin. I will continue to be praying for this church as you guys seek to glorify God, to develop disciples, and to cherish community. So again, thank you for having us. We have like some Wolof Bibles that you could look at if you just want to see what the language looks like. And I think I have a few like Eiffel Tower keychains left, like first come, first serve. And again, just thank you. And God bless you guys.
Amen. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
So, I kind of feel a strong leading for our church to pray for your family. So, we don't want to put you on the spot, but if you wouldn't mind kind of coming out in the middle aisle,
Sure.
and we as a church will gather around you. And I'm going to ask a few of you, if the Lord lays it on your heart, to begin praying. And I'll try to close it out. So, yes.
And I will give you one specific prayer request. As I mentioned, our daughter went through some really hard times. She is getting better. But unfortunately, a result of what she's been going through is that our daughter has walked away from the Lord. She's not currently following the Lord. So if you could please, pray for London. She's our 17-year-old daughter. She's heading off to college, going to NAU. But pray for her. Pray that the Lord continues just to work on her and that door reopens. And that's where she'll find her identity and her purpose.
Name one more time.
London, like
London.
the city.
Got it.
London.
Got it.
Very easy.
Okay, we got it. So if you gather around the family.